All right, in this explainer, we're going to tackle a topic that, let's be honest, affects just about everyone, but is so often surrounded by shame and confusion. And that topic is desire. We're going to dive into the teachings of Apostle Joshua Selman to unpack a really powerful spiritual framework that completely reframes sexual desire, not as some sin to be condemned, but as this powerful, God given force that we just need to understand and manage. So let's just get right to the heart of it, the big question. Is sexual desire itself a sin? Just the feeling. It's something so many people wrestle with, usually in silence, right? Well, the answer we're going to explore here, it might actually surprise you.
And this quote really is the core of everything we're talking about today. The teaching argues that this deep, fundamental desire, it's not some demonic flaw. It was actually put there by God. Think about that. It's not something to be afraid of or to cast out, but something to be understood. And honestly, that one idea, it changes the entire conversation.
Okay, so this brings us to what feels like a paradox, doesn't it? If desire is a gift from God, why does it cause so much trouble for so many people? Well, according to this framework, the whole key is understanding its nature and, crucially, the right conditions for it to be expressed.
And this is such a critical distinction. Think about it. Some things, like lying or stealing, they're pretty much always considered wrong, no matter the situation. But sexual desire? It's in a totally different category. The morality here isn't about the feeling itself, not at all. It's all about the context, the conditions under which it's expressed. So inside the covenant of marriage, it's seen as a beautiful God-given gift. But outside of that context, that's where the problems start. The desire itself isn't the enemy, the context is everything.
So again, if this desire is from God, why is it such an intense struggle for so many of us? Well, the teaching explains that this powerful gift becomes a spiritual battleground. It's a prime target for attack precisely because it's from God and has so much potential for good. It's like the enemy wants to corrupt the best things God has made.
And this teaching actually gives a name to the antagonist in this struggle, a spiritual force it calls the spirit of lust. Now, this is really important. Within this framework, this isn't just you having a personal weakness or a character flaw. It's presented as an external force that takes that natural, God-given desire for intimacy and just hijacks it. It twists and perverts it, turning a gift into something really destructive. And the strategy of this spirit is described as being incredibly cunning, like a two-sided coin. Here's how it works. For someone who isn't married, this force will amplify their desire to an almost unbearable degree, pushing them constantly toward immorality. But then, and this is the crazy part, once that person gets married, the very place where that desire is meant to flourish, the coin flips. The spirit then works to remove that desire, creating all sorts of frustration, confusion, and new problems within the marriage. It's a really destructive pattern.
It's really important to see that this spiritual battle isn't just about a single act. The teaching makes it clear that this is much bigger. It includes a whole range of related issues, things like pornography, masturbation, even going into drunkenness and drug abuse. Basically, any bodily vice that's out of line with God's design. And seeing it this way shows us that any real solution has to be just as comprehensive.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the problem, but here's the good news. This framework doesn't just leave us there. It actually offers a way out. It lays out a clear 5-step blueprint for finding real freedom. So let's get practical and break down this strategy.
All right, here it is, the 5-step game plan. And each one is so important, so let's walk through them. Step 1, admit it. This is the foundation. It's about being real, dropping the pride, and just humbly saying, I have a problem and I need help. Step 2, retreat. Now, this isn't about hiding. It's about intentionally stepping back to go on the offensive with dedicated time for prayer, for fasting, for repentance. Step 3, seek help. This is huge. The teaching says if the struggle continues, that's your cue. Don't try to be a lone wolf. Find a mature, trustworthy mentor or pastor to walk with you. Step 4, create boundaries. This is where you get proactive. You have to establish clear, personal rules for your life and your relationships to protect yourself. And finally, step 5, connect. You've got to join a community of believers for support and accountability. Because real, lasting freedom, it's almost always found in community.
So I really want to zoom in on those last 2 steps for a minute, because they're all about building a long-term defense system. It's about the power of personal rules and the power of relationships. You can think of it like this: building both a fortress and finding a family.
And to really drive this point home, the teaching points to this incredibly powerful verse from Proverbs.
Just listen to this imagery. A person without rule over their own spirit is like a city that's broken down without any walls. I mean, wow, you're just completely exposed, vulnerable to attack from every side.
So what's the simple takeaway from that ancient wisdom? It's this. Your rules are your walls. These are the practical, everyday boundaries you set for yourself. What you watch, who you hang out with, where you go online. And the idea isn't to live in a prison of rules. Not at all. It's to live in a fortress of protection. But here's the best part. The teaching makes it so clear that you are not meant to build those walls all by yourself. That final step, connection, is absolutely vital. Being part of a community, a body of believers, that's the key to actually sustaining your freedom in the long run. They're the ones who provide the encouragement and the accountability that helps keep those walls strong.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This whole framework takes the conversation away from being just a lonely personal struggle and turns it into a shared solution. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. If our personal freedom is so deeply tied to community, then what is our shared responsibility to help create those safe, non-judgmental spaces where other people feel they can get help and start building their own walls?